Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you a review of the new Urban Decay Naked Cherry collection. I'm also going to be comparing the Naked Cherry palette to the Naked Heat palette and share some swatch comparisons and the Urban Decay Backtalk palette, and also show you guys a tutorial on how I got this look using all the products in the Naked Cherry collection. So if you guys want to see everything about the new Urban Decay Naked Cherry collection, then just keep on watching. The new Urban Decay Naked Cherry collection is now available on the Urban Decay site and on Sephora.com, and then it's going to be available online at Ulta starting on October 5th. This is the Naked Cherry palette. It retails for $49. They also released a highlighter and cheek palette for $34, two eyeliners, a shimmery purple shade and a black shade. These are $21 each. And then they came out with 3 lipsticks, but I have 2 of them. I'm wearing the shade Cherry right now. These are each $18. And then also a cherry scented all-nighter setting spray for $15. I'm gonna get into like all of the collection when I get into the tutorial, but I want to start off with the Naked Cherry palette and let you guys know how it compares to some other Urban Decay palettes. So this palette, like I said, is $49, and here you get 5 shimmer shades and 7 matte shades. And actually, like, the shimmers are really pretty, really pigmented in this palette. They are kind of unique to each other. They're not all shades that kind of blend together, and that's something I did find with the Naked Heat palette, and I'll get into that a little bit more. But I really do like that the shimmer shades, you have like some peachy tones, some purples. The shade that I'm wearing today, which is called Turn On, is kind of like a lighter champagne tone, and then the deeper shades get into like coppers and burgundies and darker purples. So I think you do get some good variety between all 5 shimmer shades. They don't like all look the same on the eye. And then with the matte shadows, they are actually like very creamy, pigmented, and blendable. When you guys are seeing the swatches, they do not swatch the best. A lot of mattes don't swatch the best. They look kind of powdery when you swatch them, but they feel very creamy. They go on the eye, very smooth and pigmented. You can build them up, you can apply them really lightly for more of like a wearable daytime look. I don't love so much that the shades Hotspot and Caution, like the 2 lightest shades, especially Caution, this like light brown shade, on me it basically shows up as like the same shade as my skin tone. Like, it barely shows up, and I do wish that that was just a little bit darker so that we have a transition shade that is more of a neutral brown shade and not just transition shades that are burgundy and like pink and mauve. So overall, the formula is very consistent in this palette. All of the shadows apply really nicely on the eye. Not all the swatches look the best, but they all do apply really nicely. I find it very creamy, pigmented, really blendable. Just know the shimmers in here are shimmers. They're not like metallic or foiled shades like I talked about in the Gingerbread palette from Too Faced or like Anastasia shadows. These are more like satin on the eye. So I do wish there was maybe one more like medium brown tone and like a burnt orange color. That way, not every transition shade and matte that I use in this palette has to lean towards like mauve shades and burgundy and purple tones. I know that's like the Naked Cherry theme, but still, it would just add a little bit more variety, so not everything that I put in my crease ends up looking super similar. So I find that there's a little bit better variety with the shimmers, and they could have changed up the mattes just slightly. Like these 2 shades, Devilish and Bling, they're kind of similar. They're just kind of a deeper tone of each other. They could have added a little bit more variety there. And then Feels and Juicy are a little bit different. Feels is more mauve-y. Juicy has more of a peachy tone, which I like. And then, like I said, the lighter shades, they could have just stepped it up and added more of a darker brown or just something different for a transition shade, because the shade Caution is going to be very light. It barely shows up on me, and I think even if you have a very light complexion, it's just going to be like a first really light transition shade. It's not going to be anything that gives you a lot of color payoff. And then now comparing it to the Naked Heat palette, I thought that these were going to be very, very similar, and they're kind of similar, but kind of different enough at the same time. So the Naked Heat palette has 4 shimmers and 8 mattes, and honestly, the shimmers are kind of more of those medium, like reddish coppery colors. So all the shimmers in here kind of blend together a little bit more compared to the Naked Cherry. I feel like they did a better job with the Naked Cherry palette to have more distinct shimmer shades. In terms of like the overlap of colors in both palettes, there are 4 shades that are very similar both of the lighter shades, which are Caution and Chaser, those like light brown matte shades. There's a deeper matte shade that is similar to each other, and then there's two shimmer shades that are kind of similar to each other as well. So I think if you have the Naked Heat palette, you're gonna get a decent amount of overlap, not just with the shades that are almost identical to each other, but just like similar undertones with both palettes, even like the differences between the oranges and like the burgundy shades. They're not like that drastically different. So I think if you pick up the Naked Cherry, if you have the Naked Heat, you're just gonna find them pretty similar. But if you don't have either, just know that Naked Cherry runs like more mauves and purples, and then the Naked Heat palette has like more orange, reds, and browns in it. And then comparing it to the Backtalk palette that came out earlier this year, the Backtalk palette just has a couple more mauve and purple shades, and then the Naked Cherry has more like burgundy tones, a couple more like darker copper colors. And basically the biggest difference is definitely the formula. I really did not like the formula of the Backtalk palette. I've been meaning to declutter it for the longest time, but I'm glad at least that I have it for this video. But the Backtalk palette, the formula, I just really did not like. I have not touched it since my review video, basically. It just was like very not pigmented, and the shimmers, like you really needed to build those up to show up on your eye. The formula of the Naked Cherry palette is way better for sure. And then you get a lot more mattes and shimmers, just like a lot more, yeah, variety in the colors in the Naked Cherry palette. With the Backtalk palette, you did get like some highlighters and blushes, but nothing to, it didn't change my life at all. So definitely I wouldn't recommend, I still just wouldn't recommend the Backtalk palette at all. If you like the colors from the Backtalk palette, the Naked Cherry has just very similar colors for sure, and it's a way better formula. So overall, really happy with the formula. The pigmentation of the palette, pretty similar to the Naked Heat, but different enough, but kind of similar. So you guys can be the judge of that. If you're interested in one or the other, just know you're gonna find some overlap in both palettes. But let's go ahead into this tutorial so you guys can see how I got this look using the Naked Cherry palette and all of the products in the Naked Cherry collection. So starting off, I'm gonna go in with the shade Hot Spot, the lightest shade in the palette, and I'm just gonna set my eyeshadow primer with this shade. It is a matte color. And then I'm taking the shade Caution, which is a really light, like super light kind of brown color. It really shows up, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of build it and try to carry it a little bit higher. So that color is basically like my skin tone, but I did build it up quite a bit, so it adds a little bit of kind of like a light brown to my lid. I'm just gonna go in with the shade Feels, which is more of like a purpley tone, and just blend that into my crease. And I do find the mattes in here to like blend out really easily. Then I'm gonna go in a little bit with the shade Bing. I'm just gonna focus this on the outer edge of my eye, and a little bit into my crease. Just kind of building up more of like a mauve-y look. And then I'll probably go in with like the deeper burgundy shades for my outer corner. So next I'm taking the shade Turn On. This is a wet Morphe M124. This is like one of the lighter shimmer shades, and it's more of a neutral tone. And this way I could use some of the other deeper matte shadows and shimmer colors more in the outer edge of my eye to really like build up a more dramatic look. But I want to keep my lid a little bit more neutral. So I want to make this slightly more burgundy, so I'm going to go in with the shade Devilish. I'm taking my small tapered brush from Luxie for more of an outer V color. Yes. I don't want it to be so like mauve. I just want to add more of like a vampy look. I always like the mattes in Urban Decay palettes, but I just feel like these are like slightly more creamy than some other recent palettes, and they go on really pigmented. And I also just want to add a little bit of Drunk Dial somewhere. I think just in the outer edge, just a little bit to kind of blend the colors on the outer edge of my eye. Tacked on Drunk Dial a little bit on top of like the outer edge, just to give it a little bit more dimension, and just for the sake of just adding more depth and color, I'm gonna take the slightest bit. This is kind of a dark shade. I kind of want to go in with a smaller brush, but all of my like small brushes are dirty. I'm taking just a slight bit of Privacy just kind of work that into the outer edge of my eye to really deepen up the look. All right, so now I have it all built up as intense as I want it, and that shade that I used, Drunk Dial, like that darker shimmer shade, it has a bit of fallout, so I just cleaned that up a bit. And then I'm gonna go in with one of the liners. This one is in the shade Love Drug, and this is like a really pretty shimmery purple. I'm just gonna add that to my waterline. So for my lower lash line, I'm just taking the brush that comes with the palette, the pencil side, and I'm gonna go into the shade Bing mostly, and then I think I'm just gonna add a little bit of Drunk Dial in the outer edge of my eye. So here are the swatches of the 3 shades of the palette. The blush is in the center, and then the 2 highlighter shades are on each side. The blush looks a lot deeper in the pan, but it's honestly like not very pigmented, so it doesn't go on like basically like a bright red. It's more of like a kind of subtle berry color. And then the highlighters, I'm gonna wear like this peachy tone, and then the other one's like very icy, but they're just very, very powdery highlighters. They show a lot of texture. They don't even show texture. It's almost like they create texture on my face because it's kind of like powdery and chalky, and it doesn't go on smooth. I'm still gonna apply them today just so you guys can see what everything looks like. So I'm just gonna go in with the blush to start off. But honestly, yeah, I'm not a fan of this palette. So I am actually building up the blush quite a bit. And for like a deeper color, like I just had to apply it like 5 times for it to show up. And then I'm gonna take my Morphe M501. I'm going into the peachy tone highlighter. And it's just like a very powdery highlighter. Kind of just shows up like a shimmery powder on my face. Yeah, it just looks like it sits on top of my makeup. So I'm not gonna continue to use this, and I wouldn't recommend this palette. I am just gonna take a little bit of the lighter highlighter shade and just use it for my inner corner. And then I have 2 out of 3 of the lipsticks in the collection. This shade Juicy is a metallic lipstick, and then Cherry is a cream lipstick. These are the 2 colors. The metallic one is more of like a lip topper, just like a really sheer, subtle shade. I'm gonna apply the shade Cherry. Hopefully it's not too vibrant against, yeah. Okay, that's gonna work. I didn't want it to be like super monochromatic. Ooh, I do like this combination actually, because my eye look, that's why I wanted to go with a lighter lid color, because I didn't want like purple on purple. All right, so I love this lip color. My lipstick looks a mess because I just like went all over the place without any lip liner, so I gotta clean that up real quick. But I do want to show you guys the all-nighter spray in Cherry. This retails for $15. It's basically the same thing as the all-nighter. The scent is just like very, very subtle. It's not like a very strong cherry scent, so it is pretty subtle. All right, so that is the completed look. I'm just gonna go ahead and just fix up this lipstick. It's kind of like all over my face. Make sure it's not on my teeth. And then I'll finish up with all my final thoughts. All right, guys, so this is the completed look with the Naked Cherry collection. I'm loving the eye look. I love the lip color. I have not done a vampy or dark lip yet this season, so this is a gorgeous color. I love that it's like shiny. I never really do non-matte dramatic lip colors, but this one's really, really pretty. And then the palette is definitely an awesome formula. I got all of the products at the Urban Decay launch event a couple days ago, and I've just been doing more actually like natural or wearable looks with the palette so far, using a lot of like the lighter shades in the palette, basically like this whole half of the palette, and maybe just like a couple of the darker tones as like a lower lash line color. I used actually Drunk Dial the other day as like a shadow liner, and that looks really pretty as well. So you can do very wearable natural looks. Like I love using these 2 shades as transition shades, and then just using Bang Bang or Turn On as a lid color just for more like everyday look. So you do have some variety with how dramatic you want your makeup to look, but just know that you kind of have to commit to more like burgundy and red tones with this palette for sure. If you're somebody who likes to stick to more like neutral, brown, and warm tones, you're not going to get that as much in this palette. This is definitely more purples and mauves and burgundy colors, but the formula and the pigmentation is definitely awesome. Comparing it to the Naked Heat, I think you get a little bit more variety, especially with the shimmer shades and with some of the darker matte colors, but it's kind of like a very similar idea, very similar color scheme. It just leans a lot more red and burgundy compared to brown and orange, but there is a little bit of overlap there. Just be aware that if you guys are thinking about purchasing it, but you already have the Naked Heat palette. And then moving into the face palette, I definitely just wouldn't recommend this. I don't see myself wearing this pretty much ever. The blush is okay, but I have blushes that are way better for way cheaper in my collection. This is $34, and the highlighters, like, I can't even really tell that I'm wearing highlighter. It's pretty subtle and it is kind of powdery. You do need to build it up. So I would stay away from the face palette for sure. The setting spray, I think this is really cute. This is basically just the Urban Decay All Nighter with a faint cherry scent. So if you were really expecting something that was like very strong cherry scented, this is very, very subtle. So just be aware that it's not like you're gonna find a huge difference between this and the original all-nighter spray. It's just like a subtle cherry scent and different packaging. And then there is one more lipstick in the collection. I think it's like a shimmery bright pink. I probably wouldn't have worn that anyways, but they just gave me these 2 out of the 3 lipsticks. Juicy, that more metallic shade. This one I'm just gonna wear as more of like a lip topper or just like a subtle color. When I wear it on its own, it's something that's very sheer on your lips. It's not gonna be super pigmented, and I'm also not really into metallic lipsticks in general, but this shade Cherry is so pretty. It goes on very opaque. It is very shiny. I keep looking in my mirror to make sure it's not all over my face, but I've been wearing it for a couple hours now, and I'm very familiar with the Urban Decay lipstick formula. Like, I have a bunch in my collection, so I already know I generally like their lipstick formulas, but this color is super, super pretty. It's like a gorgeous fall color. So if you're into this color and you're familiar with the Urban Decay lipsticks, they're cream lipsticks. They stay put for hours. They apply really opaque. They're a really comfortable, wearable formula. I have a bunch of like the nude shades in my collection. And now I'm gonna be wearing this one a bit too because I really like this color. Even though it's not matte, it's still a gorgeous color. I'm just like so messy with my lipstick, so I just assume it's gonna like end up all over the place, but I think it looks really, really pretty. I love the Urban Decay eyeliners in general. I have a bunch of them in my collection. I didn't swatch these, so I'll go ahead and swatch them. Love Drunk is the one that I'm wearing. This is a gorgeous purple shimmer shade. I'm definitely gonna use this whole thing up. I love this color for sure. I just really love their formula. And then Black Market, this is just a matte black color. So those are the 2 eyeliners for $21. So that wraps up all of the products in the collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Urban Decay Naked Cherry collection, comparison to some other palettes, and then a fall makeup tutorial. So I will leave all of the products linked in my description box if you guys want to check them out. And yeah, that's everything for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.